Hi, I'm Bethany Massey, and today I'm going to show you how to stretch your watercolor paper. So even if you have really good quality paper, if you don't stretch it, you might still end up with a buckled result like this. And I'm going to show you how to stretch your paper so that when you paint on it, you get a nice smooth paper. Even when it's dry, it'll be completely beautifully smooth. So follow along. We're going to go to the studio. I'm going to show you how to stretch your watercolor paper.
Okay, so as you can see, I am using Arches watercolor paper. It is 300 GSM, so it's a really good quality watercolor paper. It's in sheets, not a block, so that means that it's not glued around the edges. You can just pull out the pages. The one that is glued around the edges, you don't need to stretch. But when you have a pad like this, it's not glued around the edges, they're just free pages like a sketchbook. Now you're gonna need a sponge like this, a nice clean sponge. And you're going to need your water activated tape, which you can get from the art shop. I have a jug of water here ready to use with my clean sponge and watercolor tape, and I've also got a pair of scissors off camera. So I'm going to grab a sheet of this watercolor paper and I'm going to set it down on my board. Just using a standard old wooden board, nothing special about it, and I'm thoroughly wetting the paper and the board. I'm wetting the paper on both sides. I've wet the board as well, and I'm really getting all this water to soak into the paper. So I'm just going to get the back of the paper as well, just thoroughly wetting and soaking this paper. Sometimes I'll even just put it in a bath. If you've got a piece of paper small enough and a bath big enough, I might even dip it in. Now, you don't put your tape on straight away. You want to wait for it to get a little bit soaked in. So you can see in the camera how the paper is starting to not be quite so glossy. You can see it's starting to soak in and dry off just a little bit. You want to get it so that it's still wet, but it's not too shiny. See, when I move the board, you can't really see much shine anymore, and that's the perfect time to start using the tape. So this water activated tape is not sticky until you put water on it. So I've just measured out a piece. I'm going to snip it off here with my scissors, and then I'm going to use my sponge, which is still wet, and wet it on one side. Now we're going to press this tape down on the edge. You want to have enough holding the edge so that it's sufficient, so you can see the little indent about how far I go in. I wanted to maximize my paper real estate, so I didn't connect a lot of the tape to the paper. You could do more or less depending on how much of a border you want. And now I'm just going to repeat the process with all of the sides. So I'm just wetting the tape, pressing it down. I have a dry piece of cloth that I'm just wiping and pressing down with. It's just easier to slide the cloth rather than trying to like rub it with your hand or something. It kind of just works better if you have a dry cloth, and I'm sort of drying it off as I go. So the paper is still wet, the board is still wet, the tape is very wet, and then I'm just pressing it down with this dry cloth to really adhere and get it to stick. If you don't push it down hard enough, it can come loose as you're working. So I've really got a good stick here, and you can see how well that is secured. Now we just have to wait for it to dry. So just let it sit here overnight. Okay, this is the next day. As you can see, perfectly flat. Had I wet this piece of paper and just let it out without being stretched and stuck down like this, it would have been quite warped. But as you can see, it's dried perfectly flat, not a single warp in sight. Look at that, so beautiful and flat. And there you have it. Now we're ready to paint. Alright, now I bet you're wondering how you're going to get this tape back off once you've finished your beautiful painting, because it does stick quite well. Now here's a demo of me wetting the tape and carefully peeling it off. Now just like soaking the paper, you've got to take your time and soak that sticky tape really well to reactivate the adhesive so that it'll slide off nice and easy. Here's a detail of the finished painting. It is a mother quoll and her baby quolls. This is going to be for a children's book featuring Australian animals. If you want to see the full painting, you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram. My tag is Bethany Massey Artist, Bethany_Massey Artist. So go ahead, like, subscribe, and follow me on my socials. See you next time. Bye.